station.
Good morning, Jerry.
Good morning, Mike.
How we doing?
Hanging in.
What how do you kind of characterize where your team is at right now?
Easiest way to characterize it is just frustrated, and I think that goes for all of us. It's just been an incredibly frustrating run where we feel like we're doing some good things, having a rough time gaining traction with just getting that 2-3 game win streak rolling, so we can feel like you're making a difference. I know it's frustrating to watch when you're in the win one, lose one mode, and when you lose two, it feels like the end of the world. But we need to figure out how to win those big moments in a game, because we have created traffic. We have pitched well as a starting rotation over the course of these last couple of weeks, and we've given ourselves opportunities. We've just not capitalized on them, and that's the frustrating part.
So do you see it as more of an offensive issue than a pitching issue?
I don't think it's necessarily an offensive issue. I think it's just an execution issue. Sometimes it's not giving up the homer in the key moment. Sometimes it's getting that bunt down when you need to. Sometimes it's hitting a fly ball with a runner on third base and nobody out. That goes beyond the dirt of the infield. There's simple things when we talk about them, but we're just not executing in those moments. And that's the reason why we find ourselves in this cycle of win one, lose one, where you feel like you're just constantly treading water. So
just to follow up on that and to make sure I understand you, when you say that it's an execution issue in a big moment, is that a mental thing? Is that a physical thing? Is that a bad luck timing thing? Like, where does that come from?
It could be all of those things. And that's the wonder of baseball, is that it could be any one of those three that you just mentioned in any given moment, depending on the player, the circumstance. It's sometimes it's a physical thing, sometimes it's a mental thing, and all these issues have been execution issues. It's fundamental baseball. We've done a wonderful job of remaining consistent with picking the ball up and throwing it over. We have created opportunity. I mean, we do lead the league in stranding runners, which means we have a lot of runners on base. If you're going to lead the league in that, you have to have a lot of runners on base. We've just not found a way to get them in. We're one of the best teams in baseball. I think we lead baseball in batting with runners on first and second base, and we're not doing a great job of helping them cross home plate consistently. And those for a variety of reasons. It could be that the wheel just stops randomly on the guy who's struggling in that moment. It could be that we're just not getting that play or executing that play at the right time.
So another part of that then is, sort of that's a skill, right? In baseball is bringing guys home. We talk about run producers, or I played some sound earlier from Mark DeRosa, who was talking about the difference between table setters and table clearers. Do you have enough guys who are good at clearing the table?
No, but we got a couple of guys that are table clearers that are not playing for us right now. And that makes us a much better table clearing team when they're out there. And, it puts a lot of pressure on guys right now. And with Julio out of the lineup on Monday and JP out of the lineup on Tuesday and Wednesday, those are moves that are necessary to help these players, manage the long season. But right now, with how fragile we are in the depth of our lineup, when you take one out, everybody else really has to step up. And, when one guy has an off day, or when, one or two guys are slumping and one guy gets a day off and multiple of your run producers are on the IL, that's a very difficult thing to overcome. But we are creating opportunity, and we do, we'll remain positive that when we get back to full strength, those things should correct themselves.
Well, and it makes me wonder about, being in a role, and then maybe, as you said, you got a couple of guys out with injury, and then all of a sudden Julio needs a day off, or JP, has food poisoning or whatever. And, have some guys been asked at times to maybe changed their role and struggled with it, or I think about someone like Jesse Winker and wonder whether he's trying to do more and play a role that goes beyond where he's had success in the past.
I don't think that's the case with Jesse. I think, and I'm sure Jesse would tell you this if you were answering the question. He's just not having a season to this point on par with his career norms, regardless of the role that you ask him to play. It's, and that's we have asked players to do things that are outside their normal role, but those are sliding doors opportunities where players have a chance to take that extra step, to become the regular player, to gain more playing time by succeeding when those things happen. It's kind of like the backup quarterback who gets a Sunday in the NFL because the starter has to sit. And, if you thrive in that role, sometimes you look up 20 years later and you're Tom Brady. And, you challenge your players. That's a team, and right now we have a number of players who are the best versions of themselves that we've ever seen. This is the best Ty France we've ever seen, the best J.P. Crawford. This is the best season that Eugenio Suarez has put together in a couple of years. We're seeing the best version of Julio Rodriguez and Taylor Trammell and Cal Raleigh here in the moment. They're doing great things. But while that's happening, we're not seeing the cluster luck with having some of the other guys who do have some track record not producing to expectations has created the situation we're in, which is again frustrating.